see any markings on the cat. Yes, it has white boots. We're good. It's a white boot cat with black. I know, kitty. You have a weird nose. Well, when you say, my friend Rob Butzkes, he's a Sam Shepard fan. He had something about the eyes of something. It's a Sam Shepard play. It's genius. I'll have to look it up later. I probably have to look it up online, but he did it at W.E. Scott Theater, where I performed Pilgrim's Progress. Good writer, bad writer kind of thing. You're taken in the room. You got the good writer and then the bad writer. The actor's like, what? It doesn't matter. Look, I promise. It's what Quentin Tarantino says, and he's a master at this. You love it, it works. Look at this. You can't really write anything that's bad. It comes out of love. And the world gives it to you every day. Look at this cat. Beautiful cat. Cats will, by the way, when I'm on set and a cat comes up or something like that, we're all going to take a moment to capture the cat. We all have to get, if Grace, A.K. Werevlog, notes to Grace and the actors, you got to get used to like having a desire to want to capture something with a device. It can be any type of device. So you basically, you want to get ready for that. Look at this right here. Little tiny dog. It's an obsession and a love that people have for the world that they see, but yet they could share it to someone else. When we see similar stuff every day, that's kind of Grace, A.K. Werevlog, but then there's a werewolf going around killing. Meaning at any moment, the werewolf could jump out and get you, you know? And Grace, A.K. Werevlog. So let's talk about Jaws for a moment, and then I won't go too long. Jaws is like, everyone goes out in the water, right, for different things. Maybe they have to work out on the water, or maybe they're by a beach, or maybe they go visiting, have vacation. Well, Spielberg was saying, watch out, because if you go out in the water, something like Jaws could be there. And in actuality, he's right, because there's many shark attacks all throughout the nation and different worlds and stuff. So that's going to hit us closer to home. And you got John Williams and Bloom, okay? We're not going to be able to do Jaws. I'm experimenting with something new, but it doesn't mean it's like 100% failure. It's kind of disposable, yeah. It's not like my other stuff. Look at this thing right here. And I know everyone's like, what is this? But it's certainly intriguing. And it's certainly new. Okay? If I sit at the table, and say if Quentin's there and everyone's talking, it's like, Cole, there's good God is in the detail. And, you know, everyone's like, what are you, you know, I'm going to say back, let's listen, hey, it's a new idea, and they're going to agree with me. Hey, thanks for bringing it back about the fact that everyone's in love with their phone. And another thing, too, is it's a good idea, okay? So those two things. And I have a love for actors. And when I first got this thing, I was in heaven. I just was like, what in the world? You can do this? What's going on? That's probably how I'm going to feel on set. Okay? I know Quentin gets excited, but it's going to be like heaven. I'm going to be like, I can do this? What? Oh, I can talk to him? Hey, Christoph Waltz, how you doing? I mean, because I can manipulate people that have the same ability that I may have, or at least want to have. Because like Quentin Tarantino cannot do what John Travolta can do, because John Travolta was in Saturday Night Fever. But he could tell him to do something, and then all of a sudden he does it, right? So that's the power or ability that would be opened up, as opposed to just this thing and me talking in it. Okay? You see the difference? All right. Now Quentin is annoying like this, and I'm annoying like this, so I'm talking and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Quentin's annoying like this. All right, so like, what I want here is, okay, like Steve McQueen was like on his motorcycle, right? Okay. So like, you know, there's this movie critic, okay, he's like coming by, he's just walking by, you know, he's just a movie critic. It's like, what in the world? He's just a movie critic, he's just walking by. And so Steve McQueen is like right there, and he doesn't even recognize him. It's like, that is like the moment that's what we're having like right here, okay? Like think of, I don't know, I can't even think of a Steve McQueen movie, so I can't do Quentin. But he would think of a Steve McQueen movie, and then he would start talking about Steve McQueen. And he's also older than I am, okay? I don't know Steve McQueen movies. But I do know, I don't know, a River Phoenix movie, you know? It's like, you know, like think of Dogfight. You know that sincere moment when he's coming back, he's already coming back from Vietnam, and he's limping, you know what I'm saying? And it's River Phoenix limping, you know what I mean? That, you know, it's that kind of feeling, right? You got it?
This one is 553-13-5.1.
I would be slightly embarrassed with Christoph Waltz because I've only seen Inglourious Bastards. I've seen Django Unchained. I have seen Carnage. I did see Carnage. Very interesting. Roman Polanski doing a play and then filming it. He talked about it at the festival thing that I watched today. And I've seen segments from The Consultant. But I don't need to see anything but Inglourious Bastards to know that he's a complete genius. But, you know, and he also talks like one. Because he says things that I don't understand what he's talking about. But it, like, makes sense. And the way that he says it, it just rolls right off the tongue. And I start to do impressions of, like, why? Wait for the cream. And then I will tell you why. All of a sudden. I think he does pull back in his interviews. He's exactly like... Hans Landa, he's exactly like him. To the Q. He is exactly like the Nazi, the Jew hunter that he so gloriously shows himself to be in Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. He's to me, it seems, I don't know. Maybe he's cut it a little bit. He did have lunch with Seinfeld. And also, I think they ate at Denny's. But anyway, I don't want to go on forever. Anyway, you get the idea. Going through a cool little area. It's cloudy outside. And then that's all I want to say. All right, I feel bad. I'm not. Christopher Waltz is not exactly like Hans Landa, but in that interview he sounded like him. It's kind of like a scary thing, like where you see a monster, and then you meet the actor that played the monster, and then you realize, oh my gosh, there's some similarities. But I know that he's not exactly like that. Of course not. But that's what I was thinking, because he did some of the same gestures that he does in real life that worked out for the thing. What's it doing this way for? Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's what I thought when I saw the festival thing. I kind of got emotional a little bit. But anyway, no, he's not. He's a person. I know Christoph Waltz is a person. I know that he's an actor. I know he's a serious actor. And I know that he studied opera, and that's brilliant, especially for the speaking aspect, because acting does require an ability to speak and everything, and he was a little critical of Brando. Okay. Listen, I want to say one thing about Brando, that Brando allowed for other actors to be who they were, and to have a flaw, and to carry that flaw and use the flaw to the ability of their own personage and a talent, and to the ability of the role, right? Because Brando was like a flaw. There was something wrong with Brando. So he could use that, and then it would mesh into the role. Okay, so ultimately it did happen in One Eye Jacks. It just it wasn't Stanley Kowalski, which was brilliant, which is who I've played before. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say about Brando, and then why I was like, wait a minute. One Eye Jacks, it might have been something he wanted. It might have been something he was saying about something, okay, that a lot of people talk about. It was him and Carl Malden. There was a whip. Come on. All right, so I kind of got on the defensive and went, wait, and I pulled out my One Eye Jacks. Literally, not the card, but the movie that I have. And say, wait a minute, okay, is there slavery references? Is he talking about, guys? And so, I'm not going to have a conversation about One Eye Jacks with Christoph Waltz. No one talk about One Eye Jacks. No one bring up Marlon Brando. well, you can bring up Marlon Brando, but we might bring, forget it. Let's just bring up One-Eyed Jacks. When we sat down, if we sat down in the scene, let's all just talk about One-Eyed Jack. No, I don't know. I'm trying to do something, and I guess I found it in the ideas that fell upon me. I'll tell you the story behind Grace one last time. It was supposed to be a fighting film, and I do have a black eye right now. I'm not going to show it to you. I'll show photos later. It is kind of puffy and everything, but I'm going to survive. I'm talking to you. Let me explain something. I'm trying to get, okay, so I started hearing these coyotes yap outside of this balcony. I lived in this apartment with a balcony, and it was in front of a field, and I heard these coyotes, and they were yapping. You know how they bring the domesticated dogs, you know, the Sam Shepard story, the domesticated dogs out into the field to slaughter the dog, the poor little poodle. Well, they were yapping, and it was going on, and all of a sudden it just slowly just said, there's werewolf. Yeah, there's something to do with the werewolf. We're going to the palm reader, lady. So you got to have gypsies if you're going to have werewolves, okay? It's a Stephen King formula. I don't know if there's any gypsies in Stephen King's Silver Bullet, but there could have been. And there's also the town that turned into werewolves, or people, shape-shifting people, okay? So don't cry if you receive the script. This is Colorado. They're from Colorado. But the shapeshifter is part of it, and so it can hide and be disguised. So it can disguise itself. We're going to appear at the palm reader. All right, I can give you an idea of where the palm reader is. Magnolia, West Magnolia. There's Walloons, whatever it's called. Walloons is like a bar. You pass Walloons, and it's right here to the left. You can see it. You may not be able to see this stuff. Like it may just, you just don't even notice it. I never have noticed it. She's been here a while. She loves Italian food. That's the palm reader. I might seek her as a consultant and talk to her about the shapeshifter real quick, just to see if she believes in that. So we might have already captured this other side at the apartment complex. But I have to find the footage. So Gaius Petronius Arbiter was basically a Roman courtier, Nero, and that was the lycanthrope. But it also comes from ancient Greek. There was also Gervase of Tilbury that wrote about it. Gervase of Tilbury wrote between 1100 and 1250 or so. Anyway, many gifted people that are prophetic and stuff like that, they do sometimes have a take on the werewolf. I asked her for the palm reader. She said that she only experiences shape-shifting stuff, like the shapeshifter, when she whatever it is called. It's when you, I don't know exactly what it is, but she kind of explained it to me. So it's when they, I don't know, because I'm not necessarily a palm reader, but she did say that she's seen like the spirits of it when she astros. Okay, you know the other part of the word. I may be saying that on purpose. A lot of people don't know the curse of the lycanthropy curse, or the lycanthropy. They don't know it. Even even myself have trouble explaining it, because there is a connection between the Christians and the lycanthrope or the werewolf, because of possible sightings. And then there was a horrible attack in France that happened that I've talked about before, that I can't pronounce. I cannot pronounce the name of the town, but I've said it before. It's a French name. But anyway, that was the most realistic attack that they have noted, that they have put down on paper. It happened in France. The Beast of Javada. The Beast of Javada happened in France in 1767, or around that time. Just think of this: 1776, Declaration of Independence. Switch those two numbers: 1767. So I've got to get my BS together. Think of Reservoir Dogs, when Mr. Orange has to get a story. I don't really have to, because I can sit there and just open and say, look, lycanthropy, Greek myth of this happened, and which curse are we taking from? Well, which one do you take from? If you saw a werewolf sighting, does it really matter? But I asked her, I said, have you personally seen a werewolf? You know, and she said no. So she was being honest. But she said she astro, you know, she does some kind of thing. Basically when she meditates almost, I guess. She says that there's shape-shifting energy. So I've heard them talk this way before. They're almost like gypsies. I didn't ask her if she was a gypsy, which that's kind of, they sometimes they're like, I'm not a gypsy, or sometimes they say they're a gypsy. I don't know the rules on gypsy, but I'm going to look up some stuff. All right, so I can kind of help a little bit. The gypsy goes back to 250 BC. It's mostly from the Romani people. It just means they travel around. But the things I've heard about the gypsies are their language is hidden, or they have a hidden language. My father knew one of the words, which was like Rom, which meant something. I don't remember what it meant, but I don't know if it's a hidden gypsy language or if they have it written down. So I'll look it up. Supposedly in gypsy, to say hello, you say ahoy or service. So it comes from Romani language. I'm kind of learning some of it. .4 1.8. I'm going to refresh in the lycanthropy curse, go back to the Greek. Now, it is mentioned in the script, so I did do research. And don't quiz me, because it's not just about a werewolf. It's mostly about vlogging and human nature. But don't quiz me, please. I'll if you have a question and if you're on set, and you ever have a question with me about werewolf mythology, you need to write it down, and I'll give you a time or window on the answer. Okay, I'm not a professor on the lycanthropy curse or lycanthropy or the werewolf. Okay, I'm not a professor on that. I did my own research for the sake of the script, but I'd have to go and do the research for you if you had a question. My suggestion is use any myth you like related to the werewolf or even the werecat, which is what Michael Jackson did with Thriller. That was a werecat, by the way. It wasn't a werewolf. They didn't want to use a regular werewolf, so they used a werecat. That's why he had those long whiskers. He changed into a cat man that looked like a werewolf. Michael Jackson was a genius. Anyway, regardless of Michael Jackson and the werewolves or the werecats, use what you want. It doesn't matter, because mostly they just talk about it. They don't see the werewolf. That's why I don't want to see the werewolf. If you come to me with this werewolf costume and all this stuff to me, I am going to be a little bit upset because you didn't read the script. It was going to be called the shadow of the werewolf. You only see its shadow. Now, if you come up with me and say, hey, here's a shadow idea for the werewolf, I'm going to be like all ears and happy. I don't want to see the werewolf. There's only one time we see a little bit of the werewolf is in the shadow of this barn when John Blacksmith gets cornered. And that's it. You only see a paw, or you see whoosh, or a shadow. Okay? There's a reason for that. I planned it on purpose. They talk about it. They see the shadow at times, okay, within the story. But do not talk to me about CGI. Do not, no, absolutely not. And I will draw lawyers. If you, listen, I'll call Crispin Glover, okay? No, it's written in the script that you do not see the werewolf. But in this one little segment, this one little time. Okay. Debatable if I even want to even show that time too.